My husband told me he wants a second wife. We are practicing Mormons and my husband believes that he deserves a second wife. When we first got engaged, I told him that the only way I would marry him was if he did not take on more wives. We've been married now for 6 months and he's already begging me to get a second wife. Part of me understands why he wants it, but the other part of me thinks it's just gratuitous. No man needs more than one wife. We met a few single women at church and he's been flirting with them nonstop. One of them in particular has been flirting back. Everyone in our church knows that my husband is not allowed to have another wife. This one girl keeps trying to get into our lives. She basically shows up everywhere we do, and she's always trying to catch his eye when we're at church. I found out a dirty little secret about her. A few years ago, she used to be a stripper. I threatened her to stay away from my husband. If not, I would tell him that she was a stripper. She actually told me that my husband wouldn't believe me and that she was going to marry him anyway. I caught them texting and she was telling him how lonely she is. I told my husband that she was a stripper and he said that he didn't care. That she needed saving? What the heck should I do now? I don't want a second.
Am I the asshole for telling my husband if he fights for custody of his kids, I will divorce him? I, 27 female, am vehemently child-free. I am sterilized and have no intention of having or caring for any child. I married my husband, 33 male, last year and did not know he had any children until 5 days ago. I travel for work for myself, and have amazing pay for very few active working hours. I am a honeymoon planner owning my own business. We have a joint account for bills and our own separate accounts for savings and fun money. My husband sat me down 5 days ago and told me he hadn't been completely honest with me and revealed he has 2 children, 10 male and 7 female. He pays regular child support, however, it dips into his fun money and he wants to be able to have fun like I am. So he said he would fight for 50-50 custody. I was furious he had lied to me, and even more angry when he told me he wanted 50-50. He works 12 to 16-hour shifts as a nurse, and that would mean I would have to take care of the children when I'm not working or work from home. I told him if he fights for custody, I will leave him. We have a prenup, so a divorce will be rather simple. I get 100% of my business, all of my savings and fun money, and the house, as I inherited it from my grandmother. Called me a jerk and told me I should step up so he can have more money in his savings and for fun. And because the kids won't be much hassle due to their ages. So, am I wrong for telling him I will divorce him if he goes through with filing for custody? Update. Thank you all so much for helping me with the situation. I knew his lies were enough of a reason to divorce. And I'm proud to announce, soon to be ex. I just didn't know if divorcing him with kids in the mix would make me a jerk. Especially because he works so much. He has since vacated my house. I have spoken to my lawyer and am filing for an annulment. I can because he married me in an act of fraud. The AMA protects me as it was a fraudulent marriage. Thank you all once again.
I think that we need to have more of a strategic view of dating. And by we, I genuinely do mean me. I realized this the other day. I was like, I don't think I've ever really dated a man of quality. Like when I put down all that man brings to the table on paper and like who that man is on paper, all signs point to run the fuck away. Because I let emotion take over too easily, and then I find myself liking men who commit tax evasion. Bitch, what are you doing? These are things that normally like I could look over if they were treating me well. Maybe not the tax evasion. It's like these men bring bare fucking minimum to the table and they don't treat me well. Why the fuck would I waste my energy on them? What I decided to do moving forward is kind of just going about it a little bit more strategically and less with emotions, you know, like writing down on a piece of paper all that this man brings to the table. And also, I feel so capable of doing this because I bring a fuck ton to the table. I bring the table, I bring the setting, I bring the silverware, I bring the fucking wine glasses. I know my worth. I know what I'm bringing. The reason I want to like start being a little bit more strategic and like putting things on paper is because I bring a lot to the fucking table. So why on earth am I dating a man who literally commits tax evasion, number one, and number two, communicates as if he's 12 years fucking old? Like, when you view yourself and like actually have self-worth for yourself, you're not gonna let these things happen. You're not gonna tolerate like a whack-ass motherfucker. I'm someone who acts out of emotion. If I feel something, I run with the feeling. What happens when you operate with feelings is that you miss the red flags completely. Like you fully miss the red flags. So now that I'm dating again, I've started just kind of taking note of little things that really any man says and any man that I'm interested in or I'm talking to does. For example, I keep going back to the tax evasion because in what fucking world am I going to date a man that literally commits tax evasion just because I like him? I feel like when you date strategically, you miss, like you're not going to miss out. the red flags. You're not gonna let those just fly by. And like, trust me, I'm a bitch, obviously, who has let a lot of red flags just like, woo, in front of my goddamn face. Because I was dating out of emotion. When I date strategically, I'm going to notice the red flags. Dating, I want a partner. I can tell you right fucking now, a partner that I want in my life isn't gonna communicate every like fucking 7 days with me. That's just not something I'm gonna tolerate or accept in my life. And a partner in my life sure as fuck isn't gonna commit tax evasion. Also, I used to fucking love a toxic game. I thought it was the funnest thing in the fucking world. Now that I'm older, I'm over that shit. Like, I created a life of peace for myself that like, I'm never gonna let someone come in and disrupt that peace because I know what the fuck it feels like to live a peaceful life. Why would I entertain a man who's just toxic and playing games? I don't have room in my life for that. When I get caught up in emotion instead of dating strategically, I'm more willing to let the red flags go, and I'm more willing to sacrifice my peace for a whack-ass motherfucker for no goddamn reason other than emotion. I encourage anybody who's dating to take a step back, look at the person that you're dating, talking to, whatever, even have a fucking crush on, and write down what do they bring to the table? Like, what value do they bring to the table, and what, I guess, pain points they bring as well. Also, do it for yourself. What value are you bringing to the table, and what pain points are you bringing to the table as well? Look at what they're bringing to the table, and it's absolutely fucking nothing, and you're like, but I really like this person. Sometimes emotion is just like not enough. Like, I keep thinking of that Drake lyric that's like, I don't even treat you that good, girl, like, why are you smiling? It's like, if that is you, walk the fuck away. I think we live in a generation that literally normalizes toxic behavior in games so much that you're always, I'm like, am I crazy? Am I crazy? Am I crazy? It's like, no, these things, you don't have to tolerate them. You're just choosing to. I'm not texting you for 2 weeks. Not fucking normal. So set that standard for yourself. And anytime someone breaks that, be willing to walk the fuck away. Those are just some things that I'm going to take moving forward with me dating. I think I'm gonna look at it a little bit more strategically and less with my emotions, because my emotions, bitch, have led me to a lot of unemployed men, and I'm tired, and I'm fucking tired of that. So now it's time to take a step back and just like put it on paper. For all the girlies that are in my DMs, like, he only texts me every 2 weeks, I highly recommend for you to put what the fuck he brings to the table on paper as well, because like, that's not normal, bitch.
Am I the asshole if I call off my engagement because of a comment my fiance made about my late wife? For some background info, I, 43 male, have 2 children with my late wife, Kayla. Sam, 21 male, and Liz, 16 female. Kayla passed away when our kids were 15 and 10. I won't give specifics about how she passed, but she was struck by a drunk driver when she was on her way home from work. She really was the love of my life, and to say that her passing hit our family hard would be an understatement. I promised myself that if I got back into the dating game, I wouldn't date anyone for at least a couple of years for the sake of my kids. 3 years after my wife's passing, I met my now fiance. We'll call her Amanda. Things went slow, and I didn't introduce her to my kids until we had been dating for about a year at that point. Now we've been together for 3 years and are engaged. Amanda and my kids have always had a good relationship. Neither of my kids are super close to her, but they've always been friendly and welcoming to her. And Amanda has never overstepped any boundaries my kids have, like trying to replace their mother. At the beginning of Amanda and I's relationship, she was a bit insecure of the fact that I was a widower. During the first few months of us dating, she would constantly ask things like, if Kayla had never passed, would I still be with her right now? I always kept my answers brief and told her that I didn't like thinking about the what ifs and that she was the one I was dating now, and that was what mattered. Eventually, she stopped making these comments and I stopped worrying about it. Now on to the issue. My parents were hosting a family dinner to celebrate my fiance and I's engagement. It was my mom and dad, my late wife's sister and her husband, Sam and Liz, and me and Amanda. Dinner was going well. We were all making small talk with each other and talked about wedding plans. About halfway into dinner, my mom made a comment about how she was so happy I was able to find the spark I had with Kayla in someone else. I don't think anybody really paid much attention to the comment, but then Amanda laughed and said, quote, I'm happy she died. Otherwise, I would have never have gotten him to myself. The tone of the dinner immediately shifted, and everyone got extremely tense, especially my kids. Amanda noticed the shift and started awkwardly laughing like she was trying to play off her comment as a joke. I was honestly just frozen, as that was the first time she had ever made a comment like that. My kids looked disgusted, and Liz got up and walked out to her car. Sam waited a bit longer, like he wanted me to say something, but I was still in shock about what Amanda had said. To make a long story about the dinner short, the dinner was kind of ruined. So I said my goodbyes to everyone, grabbed my fiance, and we all drove home. My daughter hasn't spoken to me or Amanda since, and it's been 3 days. I got tired of it and pulled my son aside to ask him what I should do. He said something along the lines of, quote, I'm a grown man and don't care who another grown man marries, but I don't want a woman who speaks like that about our mother around my sister. Sam's comment stuck with me, and now I'm considering calling off the engagement entirely. She's never made comments like this before, but I'm worried if I let it slide this one time, it will become more frequent and it will affect my daughter. I need some advice from outside perspectives and just want to do right by my kids. Would I be the asshole if I called off the engagement because of the comment she made?
You're not the asshole no matter what decision you make here.
All right, title of this story is Am I the Astronaut for Destroying My Girlfriend's Relationship with Her Side Piece? This was around 14 years ago, but to start this with a little backstory, I was a very shy person growing up. Never really did much in the romance department. My first date wasn't until I was 18 or 19. I had plenty of girls I had crushes on, but never had the guts to step up. Moving on till I was 29 male, I reconnected with a girl from school, let's call her Jen, 30 female, on an app. With my shyness gone, I started flirting for a few weeks and we started dating. We had been dating for 6 or 7 months when I noticed she started seeming a little distant, but not bad, didn't think that much of it. One day, while laying in bed after a very energetic game of horizontal mambo, still lying there in bed with her on my arm, she was playing on her phone, either thinking she was being sneaky or not realizing I could see her screen. I noticed she was texting someone called Babe, which was my handle on her phone. I started taking a lot more interest in the conversation. I can see that she's being all flirty, romantic, and naughty enough to make a sailor blush. Right after horizontal mambo with OP here, okay, wow. Dang. I was livid, to say it nicely, but I'm also a petty smartass. So I took my phone, messaged a buddy to call me and say they needed a tow, and we parted ways. After she left, I went into the app and saw on her comments that a guy was commenting about how she was amazing and couldn't wait to meet up again. So I messaged him asking how he knew Jen. He replied with, she's my girlfriend. I asked for how long, and he said 3 months. Then he asked how I know her, and I replied, she's my girlfriend of 6 months. I get the auto reply of I'm a liar. I tell him that she just left my bed after we just got done playing Hide the Sausage, and we're still naked like they were talking, and gave a play-by-play of their conversation. We traded numbers, and after an hour of talking, come to find out he had no clue about me, and that he had been paying 100% of her rent, which I had been giving her half of for 6 months. He was giving her spending money, buying her stuff, and taking her out, same as me, but he was just a little richer. I told him I had no hate towards him, but I thought that he should know. Fast forward 30 minutes and my phone goes off with Jen's tone. I smile, and I answer with a pep in my voice. Hi, babe. And I hear Karen Palooza start up. She said nothing about how she was sorry, or how she messed up, or how it didn't mean anything, but a line of words so vile it would make the devil cringe about how I fudged up her meal ticket, and how he dropped her, cut her off, and how he was going to pay her rent and car payment because she had blown her check expecting me and him to pay her bills. I told her you play stupid games, you get stupid prizes, and you just won the whole stupid prize cart. After another 10 minutes of very well-used curses about my looks, she said, well, I'm a prize, and you won't ever find someone as good as me again. I told her she was like a prize in a cereal box, looks good at a glance, but when you get it, it's just useless with no value. And I blocked her. So am I the astronaut for destroying my girlfriend's relationship with her side piece? P.S. Love your content. You and Mrs. Candy are amazing people. Keep it up. Thank you so much for that, Opie. That is awesome. And hell no, you're not the astronaut for ruining her relationship with her side piece when people get exposed. You know, what's funny about this is that she was exposed while exposing herself, right? Right after horizontal mambo, she's literally laying on your arm and is texting her other dude, the sugar daddy. And you guys were both supporting her. This is the funny part. And here's the funny part. You probably weren't the only two. If she learned that she could do this with more than one dude and she could just make money, literally, you guys were her job. You were her source of income, playing this role to get you guys to support her and having multiple guys do it. Like, if that's the game, you know she probably at least at one point tried having 3, if not more. My gosh, no, man. I think if anybody were in that position and discovered things the way that you discovered them, and you had been together 6 months, hell no, he deserved to know. You deserve to know that they're being played. Yeah, that's terrible. That's terrible. And love the way that you write on here too. The only thing that could make this a little bit better, is if you hid a whole bunch of Annoyatrons around her house somewhere, right? That would make it even funnier. That would be great. No, man, I'm sorry you had to go through that crap. That sucks. No, not the asshole. Not the ass at all. She sucked. And you know what? It didn't destroy you either. Like, here you are years later, 14 years ago, like, well-adjusted. You can look back at it now and laugh. I'm sure it hurt like hell at the time, but at least you destroyed the game for her. Beans in her pillow, Annoyatrons, do it all.
My husband told me he wants a second wife update. That's when my husband told me that he still wants to marry her and that the church could save her. Since the news of her being a stripper in the past didn't turn him off, I had to start digging some more. I went onto her Facebook and started looking back through all of her pictures. I also went on her friends' and family's Facebooks too. On one of her friends' accounts, I found a post from 2012. They were partying it up in the Greek islands. As I looked closer into the picture, I saw there were 2 men with them. I started Googling the men's names and I found that they were both pimps. The more I searched, the more pictures I found of her with this one guy. And in some of the pictures, they were even making out. This is when it hit me. She was probably a pro. And this guy was pimping her out. My husband is so 2000s that he doesn't even have a computer. So I decided to go print out all of the evidence. I printed out all of the pictures of her and this guy, some of her family's pictures of her drinking and partying. I made my husband his favorite dinner and then I sat him down. Told him I would never accept a second wife, especially her. When I showed him all the pictures, he told me he felt sick. Apparently, she told him that she was a nun. Remember I said they had been texting? Well, they never stopped texting. Then he confessed that she even sent him a naked picture. Part 2 is my husband told me he wants a second wife update. And he finally accepted that this woman had been a pro in her past and a stripper. He said that he would stop speaking to her. Mind you, this all happened like 2 days ago. I asked my husband to show me his phone so that I could see the messages between them. He handed his phone over and started to cry. He said that she had lied to him and told him that she was a nun. Apparently, after she became a stripper, she decided to leave that life and become a nun. How stupid is my husband that he actually believed her? That's when I saw that she had sent him plenty of nudes. And I asked my husband, "You think that this woman is a nun?" And he said, "You're right, I should have known." We went to church and told on her. Now everyone in the church knows her truth. But things get worse. After she found out that we told on her, she came over to our house and started threatening us. Wouldn't let her in the house, but then she begged my husband to let her in. And he opened the damn door. That's when she begged my husband to take her on as a second wife, and that she would be the best wife and even better than I am. While I'm standing right there. Thankfully, my husband used his one brain cell and said no. That's when she grabbed my hair and started banging my head against the wall. Stupid husband stood there watching. I had to fight her off alone. That's when she looked at both of us and said that we would regret it, and she ran away. And my husband had another confession. They had hooked up once. Part 3 is my husband told me he wants a second wife update. That's when he confessed that they had hooked up once. That's when it all made sense to me. She was so upset because they had already hooked up. Then he told me that he had promised her a ring. At this point, my husband has cheated on me. I have grounds to divorce him. I was actually so upset I left the house. A few hours after his confession, he calls me and tells me to come right back home. And when I get home, all our clothes were ripped up. This crazy psycho girl came back to our house, took scissors, and started cutting up all our clothes. She even cut up my wedding dress. She flushed all my makeup down the toilet. She actually stole one of my husband's fire weapons. Now this is the thing that really scares us. We don't know what she's capable of. My husband is so stupid though that he doesn't want to report her to the police. He feels guilty for having taken advantage of her. Which in all honesty, he definitely did. He slept with her and promised her a ring, packed up what I had left of my clothes, and I left my husband. I'm meeting a lawyer tomorrow and I'm gonna ask him for a divorce. I just honestly can't believe how stupid he is. And now I'm scared for my life. Thankfully, she doesn't know where my parents live. I'm also leaving the Mormon church, taking my parents on a vacation. F you, husband.
Am I the asshole for what I did when my friend's husband wanted us to have dinner alone together? Disclaimer, this is not my story. I, female 31, was living in another country for 3 years. I kept in contact with a few friends from college, including Camila, female 29. Camila met and got married to her husband Joe, male 35, while I was away. I came home about a month ago and started hanging out with Camila more than the other friends since we're close. However, I noticed Joe behaving strangely around me. He constantly compliments my looks or outfits and recently has been trying to get us to have alone time together. This gave me weird vibes, but I didn't tell Camila since they're newlyweds. They've only been married for 2 months. So what I did instead was whenever he runs into me at the mall or the coffee shop, I would instantly call Camila and give her my location so she could come. He ran into me at a restaurant last night and sat at my table without even asking if it was okay. I let it slide in the moment, but he started complimenting my outfit and my nails. Am I the asshole for what I did when my friend's husband wanted us to have dinner alone together? Disclaimer, this is not my story. He started complimenting my outfit and nails, then went on about how he's always wanted to have alone time together so we could get to know each other well. I smiled and immediately texted Camila telling her her husband was with me and asked her to join us for dinner. Joe kept asking me questions and smiling at me every 3 to 5 seconds until Camila showed up. I saw her waved and said, "Oh, what a coincidence, Camila's here." His smile faded and his face turned red. She said hi, then sat next to him, and he didn't say anything but stared at me angrily the whole time. They went home after dinner. I stayed longer. Once I got into my car, Joe called me and was annoyed, saying I shouldn't have called Camila when he already stated that he wanted us to have dinner alone. He said that I was being paranoid for no reason because he just wanted to get to know me better as Camila's friend, but to be completely honest, I didn't buy this excuse. He said he didn't appreciate how sneaky and dismissive I was towards his wishes and that I hurt his feelings because of what I did.
The most humbling experiences are thinking you're gonna go win the guy that you love back, and then you end up on his couch with him and his girlfriend in the next room. Let's talk about it. Okay, so me and my high school boyfriend, we were like high school sweethearts gone wrong, kind of, because we kind of had this like kind of crazy relationship, but things were going really well for us. Like, genuinely never loved anybody the way I loved him, but something went wrong. We ended up having to break up, and it was partly my fault, and without getting into too much detail, I finally was like, oh my gosh, I have to go like get him back. And at this time, I'm living out of this RV, right? It's like where I spend all my time, I travel in it, I live in that thing. So I go to where he is, and to talk to him, I just wanted to like explain some things, and I had a couple questions for him, and I show up and he's basically like, please leave, I don't want you here, like get out, blah blah blah. Keep in mind, I have driven in this RV for a really long time, like a long way, and so I go to this diner and I'm trying to get something to eat and just rest before I have to drive back, and I'm like heartbroken, super upset because he was so mean. And then I see him at the diner. He comes storming over to where I'm sitting. He's like, get out, you don't belong here, I don't want you here in my space, in my town, around my people. And I mean, he's screaming at me in this diner, embarrassing me in front of everybody. And like part of me understands where he's coming from. Like, I get that he's upset with me, and I get what I did to him isn't right, but I just feel like it was like a lot. I came here like with my heart on my sleeve, ready to talk, and he's not only is he like not wanting to talk about us or like our relationship or anything, he is dismissing me. He doesn't want me in his town. He is like screaming at me. This girl comes up, and like this guy, and I guess the girl was his girlfriend, and she did the whole like, look at me, this isn't you, this isn't you, just breathe, like let's go. Which, okay, she's probably a really nice girl, but in my mind, like, she's the worst at hate. After that embarrassing scene in the diner, I am distraught, okay? I am crying. And one thing you should not do when you're sobbing uncontrollably is drive, especially an RV. Because I ended up wrecking, like full on, went into a ditch, like wrecked the RV. It already wasn't in great shape before, and now it's gonna be like in even worse shape. At this point, I'm literally like bleeding from a head wound. I'm crying, I'm upset, and guess who pulls up to save the day? My ex and his new girlfriend, who by the way is like stunningly good looking, like just so beautiful, which I know it like shouldn't really matter, but like it really was just like the extra icing on the cake, you know? He like helps me, and she goes and gets me water, which also she's like super nice, so that just makes it worse. So obviously I'm in this town where I don't really know anybody, and so he's like, come on, you can just come stay with me. I'm like, no, like I really don't want to do that. He's like, you really don't have a choice, like come on, come stay with us. And so I'm in the back of their car riding with them. I feel like a child. Not only do I feel like a child because like she's just so beautiful and she's just like so womanly, I just feel like they're sitting up front like mom and dad, and I'm just in the back like somebody who did something wrong. So I go back to their house, and I'm like on the couch, and they go to their room together, obviously because they're a couple, but I'm just sitting there. I'm like, how did I fall so hard? And why did I think that he was going to be waiting for me all this time? Like, why did I not think that he would have a girlfriend? Of course he had a girlfriend. So obviously the next day I need to get my van fixed, and the next day is super awkward with the girl. Like, she's very nice, but you can tell like she does not want me there. And we're trying to get my RV fixed so that I can leave, and obviously I am not going to stay there again, and his family offers to let me like stay on their property in my RV. So now I'm staying on his family's property in my RV, surrounded by everybody that he loves that probably hate me. And then one of his friends invites me to this party, and although I know I should say no, I say yes.
Am I the asshole for leaving my friend 300 miles away without a ride home?
Okay.
This is another one of those.
Word sounds pretty bad, but now...
It's like, yeah, duh, dude, you know?
Yeah.
I, 28 male, and my friend, 28 male, buy and flip cars for fun and small profit.
Okay.
We use my truck and his trailer to pick these vehicles up and take them home. We recently went to another state to pick up a 1979 Camaro for my friend. The trip was roughly 600 miles round trip and 12 hours just in drive time.
Yeah, makes sense, yeah.
By the time we pick up the car, it's only about 4 p.m. We planned out the schedule thoroughly because I had to work the following morning. We load up the car and are about to leave when the man who sold us the car offers for us to join him and his friends at a local club.
No, but no. Don't tell. Really?
I'm not a party guy and absolutely did not want to, but my friend talked me into it with the promise of us leaving no later than 7 p.m.
Wait, no, you can't do. Okay, so hold on. Okay, because if it's 300 miles, yeah, that's too long of a drive even at 7 if you gotta get up in the morning to work.
Yeah.
No.
Meaning that I'd have about 5 hours of sleep to go to work on, which was doable, so I relented.
No, that's not doable. Don't do that. Never do that. Stop.
However, at 7 p.m., I was in the truck, ready to go, and my friend was still in the bar.
Fucking what?
Texting me and telling me he'd quote-unquote be right out. At 8 p.m., I went back into the club and told him reminded him that I had to work in the morning.
Hour?
And that if everything went perfect, we'd be lucky to get 4 hours of sleep if we left right now. His response was for me to call out for my shift. I explained to him that I only had a certain amount of days I could take off.
You can't.
And needed to save those for emergencies / being sick.
Yeah, so you can. Forgetting that we have the worst working environment ever, and
Very true.
Get out of here.
He then agreed to leave and told me that he needed to use the toilet first. I walked outside and waited by the truck for him to come out. At 8:30 p.m., he was still inside.
Yeah, even if you're taking a shit, it does not take 30 minutes to take a shit, yeah.
I called him from the truck to see what the holdup was, and he told me that he quote-unquote got distracted and that he was on his way now. At 9 p.m.
Leave.
I detached his trailer from my truck, sent him a text, and left for home. I'm guessing he genuinely expected me to wait for another hour, because at 9 p.m. he called me frantic and angry. I'm sorry, at 10 p.m. he called me frantic and angry.
What? Oh my god. Wait, okay, yeah, no, fuck this guy.
He wanted to wait 3 hours after agreeing to 7.
That's ridiculous.
Asking me what the fuck I was doing and demanded me to come back. I was still pretty pissed, so I sarcastically responded, "I'll be right out," and continued my drive home. Am I the asshole?
No.
My sister just confessed that one of her classmates is getting essayed by her family members. This is not my story, it was sent to me on my email. I am currently 18 years old and my baby sister is 12 years old. My 12-year-old sister went to a field trip today. Apparently, her and her classmates and other students in her grade went to the zoo. This particular classmate was not her best friend, but they decided to sit next to each other on their way back to school. My sister shared with me that her classmate is very smart, that both her and my sister get straight A's all the time in her class. My sister's friends started talking about how they only clean up Sundays. They do laundry, the dishes, only on Sundays. My sister was weirded out by this because my mom always makes us clean every day. My sister said then that the classmate's face started drooping, that she started having a sad face and started worrying about getting home. My sister asked her what was wrong. The classmate said that every random afternoon, a cousin or uncle would go in her room late at night. Go to Part Storytime. My sister just confessed that one of her classmates is getting essayed by family members. Part 2. It was sent to me on email. Trigger warning. My sister said that her classmate shared with her that her cousins and uncles would sometimes go into her room, try to wake her up when her whole family was sleeping. That her cousin and her uncle would make her do things. My sister got a bad feeling and obviously saw her classmate cry, scared to go back home. When my sister got to her school, the school was still open. She went to go tell her counselors what was happening. Turns out that the classmate didn't go to school for the next 3 days. The counselors got in contact with CPS. CPS couldn't get in touch with the student, so they had to go to her class. My sister said that when her classmate came back to school, her classmate confronted my sister. CPS went to go talk to her parents, and the parents denied everything. So did the classmate. Word got out to the students and the teacher. The teacher knew that the students were too young to know about SA. They are now watching out for their class.
My girlfriend asked me about a week ago, would I be okay if she was not able to get me any gifts this Christmas because of financial hardships. I told her, I don't really care. I understand. I don't need any gifts. Fast forward to today, my girlfriend tells me she needs to use my debit card. She lost hers and she was zelling me the money to buy this $62 beanie. She knows I'm getting her an iPhone 14 Pro Max and a bunch of clothes. She just bought 2 beanies a couple weeks ago, and I bought her a beanie on Black Friday. This is her 4th beanie. Am I the for telling her that she could have spent that $62 on me?
How many beanies does this gal need?
So many beanies.
She is the beanie baby.
She is the beanie baby.
And we found her.
She's got a little Princess Diana beanie going on.
Worth thousands.
Worth a lot.